Hello, Professor Rees. Today I want to analyze the case of Nestlé, the infant formula controversy. And first of all, you can see here my agenda. I will start with an overview of Nestlé, followed by the purpose and ambition. Then I will sum up the case, make the analysis, give some recommendations, and lastly, show you my conclusions. So in 1867, Henri Nestlé has developed the infant food, and today Nestlé is the world's largest food and beverage company and have more than 2,000 brands. It is headquartered in Switzerland in Vevey and also have 418 factories that are arranged in 86 countries, and their presence is in 191 countries, which is a lot worldwide, and also have more than 300,000 employees and a revenue of 69.5 billion Swiss francs in 2016. Now I want to follow with the purpose and ambition of Nestlé. So the first one is that Nestle wants to enhance quality of life and contribute also into a healthy future of people. So in other words, shape a better and healthier world. And on the other side, the company was yeah, intended to inspire people to also live healthier lives. And they have an ambition front of the eyes. They want to reach the UN Sustainable Development Goals till 2030, from equalization of gender or till education for all. And on the right side, you can see that Nestle wants to help 50 million children living a healthier life and also improving 30 million livelihoods in communities by directly connected to the business activities of Nestle, and also an environmental goal to strive for zero impact in their operations. Now I want to start to sum up the case. So the case deals, of course, with Nestle and the infant formula that I already told, but it has beginning with the subject of an international boycott of especially activists that were against Nestle. The criticism was that Nestle is included in or involved in the death of third world infants, and also caused for mass death of babies because of the infant feeding formula. And hereby Nestle tried to sell hardly their products, and were not really aware of the incapability of application of mothers living in the third world. And the criticism was also that it is encouraging mothers to give up breastfeeding and rather use powdered milk formula, that they would, in that case, better for the babies. So, of course, there were also charges. People believed that the advertisements and marketing activities of Nestle caused a discouragement of breastfeeding, but also lead to the misuse of the products, which also referred to malnutrition and also death of the babies. And there are some examples. For example, Peru has only water or an access to only water from highly contaminated river, so they don't have another chance. So the contaminated water led to also um, a bad nutrition for the babies. Furthermore, in the third world, they diluted the formula to stretch supply, and they believe that bottle has obviously nutrition qualities and may fit in with water, which was also led to malnutrition, and especially in the rural area, uh, babies didn't have any chances to have breastfeeding, and then the bottle feeding led to extreme malnutrition and also underweight. And rural areas like Mexico, the Philippines, Central America, but also the whole Africa, caused a dramatically decrease of breastfeeding. This caused also, how I said in the beginning, because of advertising and promotion of infant formula, that they believed it's the best issue for the babies to do. So, of course, there were also a defense from Nestle side, and it was defending the marketing of baby formula in third world countries. They said they never advocated bottle feeding instead of breastfeeding. Um, they rather said that they believe that breast milk is the best for the infants, and they rather encouraged breastfeeding globally, and did not really promote that only infant formula is the best. And they also said that infant formula has a vital role in proper infant nutrition as a supplement when the infant needs nutritionally adequate and appropriate foods in addition to breast milk, not a substitution of breast milk. Um, yeah, that when a mother cannot or chooses not to breastfeed. Another argument was from a doctor, and he said that economically deprived and those directly deprived mothers who can offer only breast milk um, has problems in growth rates of the babies, which gets very slow. And his argument was that these mothers then turn to supplemental feeding that are often harmful to children. So these feeding can also be prepared with the contaminated water that is existing and also served in unsanitary conditions. Furthermore, mothers in that developing nations or in the third world have also dietary deficiencies, as obvious, and the increasing nutrition need um, led to otherwise to malnutrition. In many third world countries, the bottle feeding is rather preferred because breastfeed is prohibited, especially when they are working in the land area. Then it is not allowed up to a special age of the children. And the next point is that the claim that third world women can breastfeed exclusively for 1 or 2 years and have healthy, well-developed children is outrageous. So thus, all children beyond the ages of 5 to 6 months require supplemental feeding, which is a normal issue. Other arguments for their defense is that weaning foods, especially the native one, so cereal, gruels, or millet or rice, or any commercial manufactured milk formula, has dangers. First of all, the low nutritional quality and the microbiological contamination, as well as the general contamination existing there. So, microbiological contamination of local native gruel with ordinary reconstructed milk formula prepared under primitive conditions. So the danger levels are quite similar. Um, yeah, the people or the management of Nestle believes that the real problem is um, that how to supplement mother's milk with nutritional adequate foods when they are needed, and also finding educated locally produced nutritionally sound supplements to mothers. So they need a way of education how to prepare the formula and use them also safely for the children. A solution here would be that, as I said, education, that they get educational services, but also improved sanitation that leads also to good food. After all the scandal, so to say, there were resolutions. In 1974, for example, Nestle has reviewed its marketing practices from region to region, and the result was here that the mass media advertising were avoided and did not advertise infant formula in certain markets. After 4 years, the advertisements were banned worldwide by the company, and they have arranged more comprehensive health education products to make sure that the understanding of the use of yeah, the preparation of the formula will be right. So especially in the rural areas and so the third world, because there were the problems most. And also the World Health Organization formed yeah, codes that Nestle fully supported, and Nestle made also sure that it will be continuing promoting breastfeeding and really ensure that the marketing practices did not discourage breastfeeding, so making the opposite. In 1977, the Interfaith Center on Corporate Responsibility were still against formula feeding in developing nations, and the Third World Institute that it's yeah, be arranged were against many Nestle products, and they were having a boycott again. And the intention was to start promoting infant formula in the third world completely. And the result was that the World Health Organization has regulated or introduced a new code to regulate the advertising and marketing of the formula in the third world. And after many years, so in 1981, the code by the WHO were introduced or come into place. That was the main rule to ban the worldwide promotion and advertising of baby formula, but also prohibit the free product samples or gifts giving to the milk nurses, for example, that are working in the hospitals. But Nestle was very smart to support the code of WHO. Beside the codes that the World Health Organization introduced, Nestle wanted to also publish his own policies, and among other, these are that advertising to general public were prohibited, no sampling to mothers, no use of commission or bonus for sales, no use of infant pictures on labels, no financial or material endorsements to promote products, labels and educational materials clearly stating the hazards involved in incorrect usage of infant food, developed in consultation with the World Health Organization as well as UNICEF, for example, and other policies to ensure the ethical, moral behavior of Nestle. In 1988, Nestle had also problems again with activists. They said that Nestle was distributing free formula through maternity wards as a promotional tactic that undermined the practice of breastfeeding. As a result, that babies are still dying as the companies are violating the WHO resolution. So they believe that Nestle um, behaves in an unethical way, although the WHO codes prohibited that. And from 1997 till 2008, other claims arose against Nestle by also activist groups that Nestle is violating the code or stretching the restriction with Appleton. And on the picture, you can see that people were so against Nestle that they also created pictures like that. There's a monster, so which is obviously Nestle, and people have to fight the Nestle monster. But later, a twist arose in terms of HIV because there were a new environmental factor, and that more than 3.6 million children were really infected by the human immunodeficiency virus um, at their mother's breast. And in affluent countries, mother um, can be told to bottle feeding, and the majority infections occurred obviously in developing countries like among Africa, and the problems of bottle feeding remained again, and a large numbers of um, healthy women wanted to save to bottle feeding because they wanted to ensure that the children are safe and will not infected by HIV. And the idea was if bottle feeding becomes a badge of HIV infection, that mothers can continue breastfeeding to avoid being stigmatized. So anyway, they continued it, and medical evidence was that extending breastfeeding reduces also the risk of breast cancer. And in 2004, the demand for infant formula in South Africa increased, and mostly all the mothers switched to formula. And on the other side, in Thailand, for example, there is a service in hospitals that offers HIV tests for free that mothers can check it. Now I want to analyze some quotes which I found very interesting in the case. First of all, in the report of the Third World Working Group, there's a statement Nestle kills babies, so in form of a pamphlet. And on the right side, you can see a baby, underweight baby, in a bottle. And on the right side, there's a statement, the baby killer. So it's a kind of very direct statement of what Nestle directly or may not directly did. And it is, of course, harming image of Nestle by showing also the picture. And yeah, it is obviously that it's a serious accusation. Furthermore, the statement was also interesting to see what people really think in third world countries. The statement is that white man's powder that will make baby grow and glow. So there's a kind of manipulation, and especially the mother's mind, which also led to an increase in demand for formula products. And especially in rural areas, people have also other cultures and behavior, and I think they want to feel also, um, yeah, superior, like so to say, the rest of the world. Also, the statement that milk nurses visiting mothers in hospitals and homes to provide samples of formula was interesting because here you can see that they are just providing samples instead of really offering them particularly educational services, which is important because otherwise, yeah, as we can see, the results of malnutrition or wrong way of using rises. Also, people believe that infant feeding formula is the fashionable thing to do, or because people are putting it to them that this is the thing to do. Only the word fashionable is really, yeah, fascinating because they are just doing it because it's fashionable. But nowadays, especially, um, yeah, people are more aware about health situations and caring more about these factors instead of just looking whether a thing is fashionable. And yeah, in that statement, the yeah, the sentence is also including the thing to do. So who is making the decision that this is the fashionable thing or that this is modern, that this has to be done? In a kind of way, there is also existing the manipulation factor, of course. And this is also maybe a marketing strategy which is indirectly of Nestle, but yeah, in a society it occurs nevertheless. So furthermore, I wanted to analyze the key problems that occurred in that case. First of all, the advertising and marketing is an essential factor, um, which led to discouragement of breastfeeding. Nestle told that it is not their intention to make that, but unfortunately, because of social power and etc., this had the consequence. Also, another problem is that the products that Nestle offered were misused by mothers, especially from the third world, because of a gap of knowledge. Another problem that led because of the less education, malnutrition, and also death of the babies. Another problem is the bad reputation, which is also a weakness of Nestle after many years. It is also a topic in Nestle's business life or reputation. And also the boycotts of activists influenced the reputation as well as also the financial situation of the company. And another problems were that they were introducing new codes from the World Health Organization that Nestle had to follow, and the overall dealing with the crisis was also a big problem. But what were the reasons of the problems that I mentioned before? So first of all, there are different environmental conditions along the third world or the whole world. And additionally, also different social aspects, especially in rural areas. And yeah, in comparison to developed regions. Another important factor are the culture differences between rural areas and also industrialized regions. The degree of harming babies with infant formula was also not concerned from the beginning on. I think it was a little bit too late, and yeah, the factor missing education was also a problem that Nestle did not really recognize this big problem because the mothers misused the products in a way, and which is very important as always in business is the communication, because when you have just tasted communication and the explicitity is missing, then misunderstandings can arise. Personally, I have also some recommendations for Nestle that I thought about um, during reading the case and afterward. So, first of all, before making marketing and advertising, it is for every business important to study the differences in culture, environment, and social aspects around the world to guarantee that every region has its or follow the marketing issues in an ethical way. This means that advertisements could be tailored to the specific country, as I said, with regarding ethical aspects. Furthermore, a clear statement that infant formula is not a substitute for breastfeeding should be also in the product with a fat front and whatever, so to make sure that everyone will understand the statement. Um, Moreover, which also Nestle recognized that offering educational services was not bad to avoid um, yeah, issues or deaths like that. Also, from the beginning on, it's maybe important to make like a risk management to identify uncertainties, risks, dangers, whatever, to avoid scandals like that. Also, a fast commitment should be occur because I think it was, as I already said, a bit too late um, that Nestle could immediately after recognizing, okay, they are dying babies, um, to change something or to stop death in especially the third world. Also, promoting breastfeeding is very important to be also, kind of ethical or also, for the customers to give them a feeling of being social. And there is also the problem with HIV infection. So Nestle could encourage the checking for the mothers, and if they have or if they are infected with HIV, then they could use baby powder for this and this reason to guarantee also a commitment. So now my conclusions. So first of all, Nestle was in charge caused by, so to say, malpractices that caused also because of unpreparedness and not really considering specific different markets in terms of culture, environment, and social aspects. There were educational services that were missing, a feeling of not considering humans' well-being. It was just Nestle wants only make money instead of being socially or ethically. Um, yeah, it is important that Nestle is not doing more unethical marketing practices in the future. Um, as Nestle also formed their own policies, they arranged also an audit commission that a scandal like that will never occur anymore. They made also partnerships with the World Health Organization as well as UNICEF, etc., and also promoting breastfeeding in a clear, directly way. But nevertheless, the whole image suffers till now. Um, but this is also another issues because of deforestation, because of KitKat and so on. Nestle is also doing today kind of unethical issues. But yes, that's the case. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you like my presentation.